oh, he does something good, she does something good, therefore they have a good heart. Because to truly have a good heart, it takes a lot more than just a simple action, whether it be money or an effort, or one time or even a lifelong. The effect of the act on everybody that is affected by it will determine if the person has a good heart or not. Not the effect of the fans or the effect of the person himself. No, the effect of everybody else that's affected by it. If all of the neighbors are suffering from your good heart and your charity to the local alligators, and your charity to the local bats, and your charity to all of the other creatures that you want to feed, that's not a good heart. That's simply stupid. Or better yet, you're going to say, oh yeah, look, he is feeding all of these poor people in, in Guam. He's feeding all of these, monkeys in Cambodia. Fine, no problem. You consider that a good heart? Is he feeding his own family? Or is his own brother and his own children and his own parents starving? Because if all of his energy is going to strangers, and that's going to get him some media attention, while his backyard is starving, while his own kids are starving, his own neighbors, his own community are starving, that's not a good heart. There's nothing good about it, in fact. It's not even a mitzvah. Because the Torah tells us that you have to help your own family first. And if your family is okay, then your own community first. And if your community is fine, then you obviously have to help others. But you have to help Am Yisrael first. You can't go and say, oh, listen, I want to go feed a bunch of non-Jews in the middle of Africa. Good, it's a very nice thing, so long as you give as much or more to the Jewish people. But the reality is that people do not know what a good heart is. They rather know what makes them feel good, what makes them feel good in their heart. So the first thing that we learn here is that there's a lot more to a good heart than perhaps we thought. Now, Shlomo HaMelech says it best, where he says in Mishleh, chapter 23, verse 26, where he says, in the name of Hashem, my child, give your heart to me, and your eyes will desire my ways. Nabni libcha, li ve'enecha, drachai tirtzena. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in essence, is telling us, give me your heart, and that will lead you to desiring my mitzvot. In so many words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us a manual, a quick righteousness for dummies guide in a single verse. Doesn't even need a whole book. If you give Hashem your heart, it is only a matter of time before you desire the rest of His Torah. You'll desire to learn Torah, you'll desire to teach Torah, you'll desire to do mitzvot, you'll even desire to fast when you need to fast. You'll desire to have shlom bayit when shlom bayit looks like it's not even possible. You'll desire to make peace even with your enemies. You'll desire all of what Hashem wills if you simply give Hashem your heart. Now, giving Hashem your heart means that you have to take certain things into consideration. First and foremost, take Hashem's will as the priority before your own. Before your own, meaning, what is Hashem's will? And that's going to guide me. Not, what do I feel like doing and does Hashem allow it? Rather, what is Hashem's will? And that will guide me where I want to go and how I want to go. When a person looks at life that way, their direction in life changes completely. When a person looks at things from their own interest, oh, I'm interested in helping people. So then you're going to, oh, who can I help? Then you're going to find somebody to help. Or, I want to, learn. Okay, so you're going to find someone to teach you. And then you're going to decide to sign up to go learn. The question is, who are you learning from? The question is, who are you giving to? The question is, what are you doing? What is the outcome of all of it? And usually, if you would have asked that question beforehand, before you decided how to do what you want to do, you would have decided what Hashem wants you to do, the outcome usually is very different, and sometimes the journey altogether is different. Whereas when you say, I want to learn, and then you decide, I want to learn, and then you pick a teacher, and then you pick a class, and you pick a time, many times you'll find out that the whole thing is forbidden. The whole thing is not good for you. Why? Because you decide to learn, you decide to do good things, and you ended up learning from someone that you're not even allowed to learn from. Or learning is saying that you shouldn't be learning altogether. Or better yet, I want to give, and you go and decide to go give to a bunch of different people that in reality you're not allowed to even give to, because you have superior obligations beforehand. So a person needs to know that if you're going to give Hashem your heart, that means that Hashem's opinion, Hashem's laws are superior to yours by, not just by, oh, I just want to do what God says, but in reality you're doing what you're doing. The opposite. What does God want? That's what I want to do. What does God want? That's how I'm going to determine what I'm going to do. So the strategy that Rabbi Elazar ben Arach is trying to teach is a whole encompassing strategy. A strategy that does not take his own personal desires, his own personal opinion into account. And in fact, if you see, for example, some stories of the tzaddikim, everyone likes a good story, everyone likes a story with a good ending. But the wise like a story that they can learn a lot from. The Klausenberger Rebbe invested his life into his Talmidim, into his community, into Klal Yisrael, building keilot everywhere. Now you would think, oh, so certainly he had a great end. Certainly, probably Hashem kissed him and his neshama left his body, like Moshe Rabbeinu, but that's not the truth. The Klausenberger Rebbe, towards his end, got very sick and was in enormous amount of pain. Enormous amount of pain. As if, there's nothing we can calculate here. What was enough? He suffered in the Holocaust, death of all of his kids and his wife, disaster. But the Klausenberger Rebbe, after doing everything he possibly could, Hashem wanted to sweeten the Klausenberger Rebbe's eternity and gave him a lot of physical ailments towards the end of his life. And he suffered enormous pain to the point where he was literally incapable of moving. But this did not stop him from teaching. Now you would say, how can you teach when you're practically in agony and pain 24 hours a day to the point where you could barely communicate? How do you teach? The amount of pain that he had caused him to groan and moan, and even more so. And of course, I know from my own personal experience, one of the most uncomfortable things that I had to deal with myself was the look on other people's faces when they saw me screaming my lungs out from pain. And not because I was in the hospital. Sometimes I would just simply be at a dinner table, and there would be so much pain, just came out of nowhere. You literally just start screaming your lungs out, and you see the shocked horror on people's faces. You literally want to bury yourself because of the embarrassment, because of the uncomfortable situation that you're in. But there's nothing you can do about it. You're in pain. And there's no way for you to stop this screaming, because when it hurts, you scream. Now, the Klausenberger Rebbe surely dealt with this pain very differently than I ever did. When he was in pain, when he was in agony, when he was moaning, in order to give him honor, the Talmidim wanted to close the door. So the other Talmidim, the other Bachurim in the house, in the yeshiva, would not hear the great rabbi screaming. It's not kavod for people to see the rabbi screaming. The Klausenberger Rebbe said to them, no, leave the door open, so they could all learn what Hashem does to someone who makes sins. This lesson, Rabotai Karim, is coming from one of the greatest tzaddikim in the history of mankind. I personally am suspecting that he's potentially the Gilgul, the reincarnation of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who had literally an identical story. But needless to say, one of the greatest tzaddikim with no debate, no confusion. What does he tell his Talmidim while he's suffering in agony? Leave the door open. Why? So everyone can learn from me. What happens when someone sins? What sin did you even have time to make? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows. Perhaps you studied 1 minute less Torah in your 18, 19-hour day Torah learning schedule. Who knows what kind of sins the tzaddikim make? But he says, this is what happens to someone who makes sins. Let them hear it, so they can gain Yirat Shamayim, even for me at this time. This is a teacher. This is a Rebbe. This is a Ish Kadosh that is looking to teach his students, his Keilah, his children, everything. Not just tell you lovey-dovey stories and make you feel good inside. Not just tell you that everything is going to be fine, just have emunah. But also tell you, even at this time, you have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for what he gave you, even if what he gave you is pain. Because that pain is a lesson itself. So here we see, Rabotai, that the mindset of the righteous is quite different. Quite different than the way the rest of the world looks at it. I have people that send me messages telling me, I don't feel like living anymore. Okay, why not? Oh, I lost all my money. Oh, I lost this. Oh, I lost that. Okay, fine, but you realize that life is a lot bigger than just whatever you just lost. There's a lot more to life. I understand that you don't see it at this time. I remember myself that way. But there's a whole lot more to life than whatever you feel like you just lost. If you only follow the Torah, you'd see how much more you can gain from this world and the next.